Alrighty, so Fran's event dropped last night. We have now the reworks for Balthier and Ashe, along with Fran herself. So we're going to be talking about all three in this video. So this is going to be the importance of Balthier, Fran, and Ashe. And we're going to start off with the leading man himself, Balthier. So with his rework, what Balthier mainly got was a new frame buff called Sky Pirate Style. I had to say that nice and slow because I can't say it. Sky Pirate Style. It stacks up to 3 times. You will get 1 stack upon using any of his abilities. It stacks up to 3 times. Which each of his abilities, though, if you break a target, he gets 2 stacks. Or if you're attacking a target that's already broken, he gets 2 stacks. You can get a stack with his Brave attack, which is nice. But the frame buff will then increase his physical attack, his max brave, and his regular attack, as well as changing his abilities to plus. So base version Snatch Shot now hits twice, and Great Aim now Brave heals twice. The second Brave heal based off 100% of his attack, and will hit twice. All of his abilities now have 100% of a snatch rate, so he can steal buffs, frame buffs too, which is important. And then when they go plus, they just do more damage. They get more hits, and they get 120% overflow on each of his abilities. So not much to Balthier. He did get a little bit of change to his, I think it's a C level 54, but it was just kind of like a minor buff to himself, like just increasing his speed and everything, just to make him a little quicker. So that's pretty much it with Balthier. Now, is Balthier important for the Cosmos era? I'm going to be honest, I don't think so. But with what he got with his reworks, he might not be important, but he is damn usable. Like, if you don't have a Dispeller, Balthier is basically your next best option because he just steals all the buffs and framed buffs, which is, like, amazing. Especially if you're dealing with a pesky boss that does that, aka Fran's event. He steals all the frame buffs and puts them onto himself, and then he gets boosts from having a certain number of buffs on him with his own crystal passes and everything. He hits relatively hard. 100% isn't the greatest, but he does have a good max brave stat, especially with his own boosts and his new frame buff helping him out with that. And if you pair him with someone with good auras, like or someone like Ashe, who raises the max brave with her one ability, or characters like Echo, things like that, you can get his max brave pretty high, so he's hitting relatively hard. I have seen some spicy work already with him in summon, and he's hitting for about 40 like 35 40k, 40 to 45k non-synergy, and up to 55 to 60 with synergy. So Balthier, while I don't think he's important for the Cosmos era, I don't think he's a character that you should just drop all the resources for and grab him specifically, because he's still only a 35 CP character, which does make him cost efficient, but he doesn't have an HP attack plus, unfortunately, and he doesn't have an EX weapon. So longevity is a big issue when it comes to Balthier, so you really got to be careful with that. So with that said, I think he's a fantastic option to have if you can build him, if you get him on the side, or even if you want to toss some power tokens at him, if you've never had any luck pulling his 35 CP off this banner or any banners beforehand, things like that. I feel like this is a really good rework for Balthier, and I'm going to be using him. I pulled all of his weapons off here. I was thoroughly impressed with him. And I've always been a little partial to Balthier's character, even though, like I said, I've never played FF12, but I've seen a little bit of it and whatnot. I've always been a little partial to him. I thought I like his snippy character, gentleman comebacks and stuff like that. So I never actually pulled any of his weapons before, and then I'd come to this banner and they're just throwing them at me alongside Ashe's stuff. So I have him built now. I'm definitely going to be using him, going to be fooling around with him in the Cosmos era and stuff. He's going to drop off pretty quickly, to be honest. You can still get uses out of him once the level 70 drops, especially if you need someone who doesn't dispel but takes the buffs away. He'll be your guy. But damage-wise, he falls off relatively quickly since we're getting level 70. They're just going to overshadow him fairly fast. So get some uses out of him while you can, or if you're like me, you're still going to be using him in the level 70 era just to fool around, see how good he can really be. So important for the Cosmos era? No. Fantastic rework though, and a very underrated character. He does become incredible with his EX Plus though. Just about every character becomes incredible with their EX Plus. So while his EX isn't out, he is still a good future investment to get, and you could pull for his EX weapon when it drops out in the JP, like it did on the JP side when we're down into the Chaos route. Next up, we're going to be talking about Lady Ashe. Now, Lady Ashe got her rework. She didn't get any adjustments to her C level 54 and 58 passives, which is kind of a shame, but I'm going to be honest, what she did get in her abilities is amazing. So Nordslane's Glow now does 3 hits and does HP damage afterwards. Nice. It overflows up to 150%, an overflow that some EXs don't even have. 150% overflow. And it now drops the Max Brave. Nice. Heaven's Wrath now has overflow. It now raises the party's Max Brave by 40%, which is a higher boost, and raises her own Max Brave by 100%. So Ashe's Max Brave issue that she had even upon her level 60 release is now gone, because her Max Brave is incredible. Her Max Brave gets so high and she hits so hard with these abilities. If you pair her up with a good battery, she just becomes fantastic. And the EX hits 6 times, gives her a new frame buff, which you have to have it 2 out of 3 limit breaks, but you're going to limit break it anyway. It does 6 hits, which will raise her Max Brave, overflows up to 150%, and then attacks again like one of Vaughn's abilities, and the second part doesn't have any overflow, but it's a lightning elemental that guarantees paralysis at max limit break. So that's not a lot, but it's insane. It's so good. So the importance of Ashe in the Cosmos era. The problem with Ashe is the problem that's gonna be for the characters that we're currently receiving on at this moment in global. See, level 70 is literally next. Like, we're getting level 70 next. Just like I was talking about with Balthier, while she's thoroughly impressive now, it's not going to be too long before she does fall off. But unlike Balthier, she can hang with level 70s for a while, especially if you pair her up with characters with good auras. She has fantastic overflow and stuff to keep her going, and her EX is super strong. Like, it's super strong. It's a very powerful EX. Without summon, it's hitting for about 50-60k just because of the dual hits. So it's understandable why it recasts pretty slow. Not pretty slow. Like, it has a slow recast speed. It's a super powerful EX, and it's just, she got a lot. So I'm gonna say, is Ashe important for the Cosmos era? I'm gonna say for early Cosmos. You can get some great uses out of her. It's just a little bit towards endgame, like end of Cosmos, that's kind of where she just we have other characters that'll just do what she does but better and everything and whatnot, and then she'll make her grand return when Fran gets her EX Plus. It's going to be about a year from now. She gets EX Plus as well. She's going to make another grand return. Every time she returns, I'm going to make a grand statement about it because I love this character. But I would say Ashe is important for early Cosmos. Not so much for late game, and she has no use whatsoever when Chaos first drops, but you can get some great use out of her again when Chaos drops because her EX Plus is astronomically good. So she's a great future investment now if you want to grab her now. I know I'm going to be using her for quite a while because I love Ashe. I love her abilities. I love her buffs and everything, and all that jazz. And now let's talk about the main prize, or for a lot of people, the main prize of the banner. My main prize is Ashe. Fran was kind of just a bonus for me, which it wasn't even a full bonus because I couldn't get the 35 CP. Somehow. Like, I don't understand the luck with this banner. Even some YouTubers have been pulling Ashe's stuff left and right. My buddies, we pulled multiple of Ashe's EX weapon, but no 35. Like, I don't know what's going on. Anyway, let's talk about Fran. So, Fran is a debuff specialist with one of the craziest frame debuffs in the game. It's a stackable frame debuff that whenever anyone hits it, anyone in the party or herself hits the target, it will add a stack. At 1 stack, it drops the attack. At 2nd stack, it drops defense. 3rd stack, it drops max brave. 4th stack, it drops magical attack. And at 5th stack, it drops, it gives it ranged imperil. So she has ranged imperil in both of her abilities, technically, because they all start up this this debuff. Not to mention she's buffing herself with Feral Strike and Whip Kick, which, by the way, with Whip Kick has 180% overflow once you hit that max stack because her abilities go plus. She's doing more damage. She is basically the overflow queen right now. Like, and that's a crazy powerful frame debuff because they cannot push that off unless they have a specific ability to do so. So we kind of know what Fran does. She hits stupid hard, and she has so many attacks built in to her Feral Strike and Whip Kick. Feral Strike gets 150% while raising her attack, and I believe it's her speed. Whip Kick raises, I believe it's her max brave with the 35 CP equipped. I don't really know. I don't have it right now. I'm pretty sure that's how it is, though. While it has a base of 120% overflow, and then when they go plus, that's when Feral Strike gets the 150% overflow, and Whip Kick gets 180% overflow. And Whip Kick does split damage between 2 targets, but it just overflows to astronomical proportions. You can get her to 99k. You can. It is possible. It can be done. I've seen it done, and I'm gonna try and do it when I get her 35 CP with power tokens when I get enough, because I'm almost there. So there really isn't much to Fran outside of her frame debuff. She applies one of the best frame debuffs in the game, probably just as good as Pain's when hers drops, and she just hits dumb hard for a 35 CP character who should be cost efficient, but apparently she's not, because no one in God's creation can pull the fucking weapon. But she is a 35 CP character, which a fan favorite DFFOO YouTuber right now, QE, calls her a 35 CP legend, and I thoroughly agree. Now, the importance of Fran for the Cosmos era is, luckily in her case, even with level 70, she still hangs for damage. She will still hang for those top contenders for damage. Her damage does not fall off. It does not. And if you pair her with someone with good auras, good bravery gen, Fran will do work. The one problem with Fran is, while yes, everyone can increase that frame debuff, the one problem is with Fran is every time she goes into a new wave, it resets, because you're killing the target that had that frame debuff, and now she has to apply the frame debuff again to the next targets, and then do it again with the boss. So it's great because she does have an HP attack plus, so she does increases her longevity. She does have some survivability when it comes to trash mobs. But the problem with Fran specifically is she has a slow start when it comes to, the boss wave. She does have to reapply that debuff, get it built up and everything, and then she can get going. So depending on how you use her for like the trash waves and the mid boss, you might be seeing yourself having a little bit of a low ability account, depending on how you use her. So you got to be smart with her. You do have to plan accordingly, use your abilities accordingly. You have to do things right with her. You can't just go in there and whip kick shit to death. That's just not going to work. It's just not going to fly. You need to be smart with Fran. She's not one of those characters where you can just go in and click buttons and expect everything to work out fine. You have to plan. You have to use her HP attack plus, and you have to make sure you're saving her abilities for the end, where that's where it's going to be needed, so you can start that debuff and get everything going. So that small issue aside, I'm going to say the importance for Fran in the Cosmos era is she lasts a little bit longer than Ashe. Which is strange because Ashe has an EX weapon and she doesn't. This is just how good Fran is. The unfortunate thing with Ashe is, while yes, what she got with her rework is impressive, she's not capping on her Max Brave all that often. And right now, her best partner would be Paladin Cecil because he has the Holy Imperil, and her Heaven's Wrath, which is objectively her heaviest hitting attack, is Holy. She doesn't really have good partners right now, and Alexander isn't even getting. He should be next on JP's side to get the level 30 and everything. So there's not much to actually boost up Fran's damage. Whereas Fran her. You can boost Ashe's damage with like buffs and everything, but like Fran herself, she has a ranged imperil, so she's increasing her own damage, and she works stupid well with Bahamut. Bahamut's actually the reason why she can hit 99k, and since she has non-elemental attacks, if you bring her against a boss that has fire weakness or ice weakness, since we have Shiva and Ifrit right now, Ramu will be next, so if we have a lightning weakness boss, you can have her summon, and she's hitting 99k in those summons too. So you can utilize the fact that she's a non-elemental damage dealer by bringing her alongside of summons that will do the trick. Whereas Ashe, while her Norris Wayne's Glow is non-elemental, so you can use that just fine too. Her Heaven's Wrath, which is her heaviest hitting one, is locked to holy damage. So, like I said, like her best friend is Paladin Cecil, who is kind of already fallen off. Like, now that level 70 is right around the corner, Paladin Cecil just doesn't have any use anymore because he just doesn't do damage. And Alexander isn't getting he's not getting a level 30 for a long time. So this is kind of why Fran outlasts Ashe just by like a hair. Like, you can get some uses out of Fran for a little bit longer than Ashe. Objectively, you can really use Fran even into kind of like mid-late Cosmos. It's just at that point they're just gonna have so much health that you would want to run EX characters over her in the first place. The only other 35 CP character that we're getting out after this for some reason is Alphanod, and he comes out a little later. He's gonna be level 72. Well, he doesn't beat her out for damage. He's not a 35 CP legend, but like, at that point, you're just going to want to have your roster filled with EX characters because they're going to have stupid, crazy amounts of HP, and EX weapons just help longevity issues. They just do. So, like, you can still use her that far out, but is it recommended? Not really. So, the importance of Fran in the Cosmos era, I would say you can get some use out of her all the way up until about mid-Cosmos, because at that point, like I said, they're just going to have stupid high amounts of health that we're going to want EX characters to get the job done. You can still use her afterwards. So you can still use her. Is it recommended? Not really, but it can be done. So take that, as I said, don't take what I'm saying mid-Cosmos is kind of her end to heart. You can still get use out of her. That's just my personal opinion. I think that's kind of where she stops. I think that's kind of where Fran reaches her end until she gets her EX plus in the Chaos era, and then you can use her just about anywhere because she's a literal fucking god. Like, her EX weapon is so stupid busted, it's unreal. So get some great use out of her now. I'm still going to grab her 35 CP with power tokens. I'm still going to be using Fran well into the Cosmos until we're about midway and everything. So for all three of these, Balthier, not that crazy important, but he's a fantastic character. I would say they're all not that crazy important characters, but they're all fantastic in their own rights, and you can get so much work out of them. It's unreal. So that's my video, guys, for the importance of Balthier, Fran, and Ashe for the Cosmos era. Next up, we're hitting level 70, guys. It's gonna be here. It's next. It's coming. I think we're getting Noctis first, and then we'll be getting our Awakening batch, and then our next character, which I think is Purim. I think, is Purim. But we'll see how Global takes to it. So prepare for that, guys. Level 70 is right around the corner. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.